check out this. Now, this is just a mock-up, right? This is just a computer-aided design, a CAD design. But look how thin it is, right? And I think in real life, it's actually going to be even slimmer than this. It's going to be absolutely incredible. So let's see, this phone, this Nothing phone, right? Look at this. So this Nothing phone 2, right here. Look how thin. It's pretty thin, right, for a regular phone. Now this is I think it's 7 millimeters thick, 7.5 millimeters thick, meaning from, if you lay it face down, from top to bottom. Now this new iPhone is supposed to be roughly half this thickness. So if you look at where that charging port is, and you essentially cut the phone in half right through that charging port, and you take off the half top of this phone, that's how thin this iPhone 17 Slim is going to be. It's going to be about the same thickness as these buttons. See these buttons right here? It's essentially going to be that slim, that thick. Essentially half the thickness of this phone. So you're looking at a phone that's going to be literally razor thin. Now, how Apple has been able to do this, and we got some new information today. So I'll roughly go over what we've already discussed in the past, and then the new information that we have. How Apple's constructing this new iPhone 17 Slim is Apple has, in their R&D department, research and development department, they've patented a new logic board. So what's a logic board? A logic board is essentially the motherboard of the phone. So traditionally, how phones are constructed, whether it's iPhone, Android, iPad, Samsung tablet, even laptops, right? So how the motherboard works is it's a circuit board, but then on top of the circuit board is where they put the CPU, the GPU. They can solder the RAM or put removable RAM, but everything's stacked up on top of the motherboard or the logic board. Apple has found a way to essentially merge the CPU, all the components that would normally go on top of the logic board and soldered onto it. Apple has found a way to incorporate the CPU, the GPU, the RAM, everything in the middle of the logic board. So instead of having logic board CPU on top, they've actually found a way to merge it so it sits within the logic board, so there's no more stacking, which takes up space. That's how they can slim down the thickness of the device. So they've patented this new logic board. Now they're also bringing this same design of logic board to future iPads, to other devices, to make them slim. So in the future, now iPhone 17, they're just bringing one model, iPhone 17 Slim, introduce it to the public, right? In the future, all devices are going to be razor thin. Maybe in the next few years, every iPhone is going to be razor thin. Every iPhone is going to be a slim. Of course, they'll probably just drop the slim and just present it to you as an iPhone. It's just going to be razor thin. Same thing with iPad. MacBooks, they can get them even thinner. So this is a new logic board design patented by Apple. Let's get into, let me see here. So what do we know? So I wrote this up. Here's everything we know so far. So next year, Apple is going to discontinue the Plus model. So, you know, they have the iPhone like this year, or let's say this new iPhone series, iPhone 16, coming out in just a couple of months. iPhone 16, iPhone 16 Pro, iPhone 16 Plus, iPhone 16 Pro Max. Apple's going to drop, not this year, but next year, Apple's going to drop the Plus model and introduce the Slim. The Plus model is their least selling model, meaning the Plus variant of all four of these iPhones sells the smallest number. That's their smallest selling device by numbers. So they're going to introduce this new iPhone 17 Slim, and it'll obviously bolster that slot in sales. Now, this is going to be a very, very, very expensive device. This one's going to, I believe, start out at right around $2,000 per device for the base model. not just the decked out model. It's going to be damn near $2,000 off top. Very expensive, but people are going to buy it. I'm probably going to sell out, right? So a thinner design. So according to the information, Apple's new iPhone 17 models next year, and we're talking about one model, so I need to take that S off. iPhone 17 model next year will have a significantly thinner design with an aluminum body rather than a titanium body. Now, here's what they're going to have to be careful about. Does everybody remember the iPhone 6 or 6S, the one that bent? The one that had a bending problem? That's my only concern with this slim model. It's so slim that it might bend easily. Now, I know they've probably thought about this in the boardroom, in the R&D department, designing this, so I'm sure they've taken measures to try and combat how thin it is, but everybody knows, famously, Jerry Rig Everything's channel, part of his videos is the bend test, right? And I don't know if this will pass. I'm assuming they've reinforced somehow, some way this device, but it's so thin, I don't see how it might survive, but I guess we'll find out. So the device's dynamic island will be narrower, probably due to Apple's introduction to a smaller meta lens for the Face ID system. If you follow eSIM Studios, we've also told you these sensors, they're going to go with under display sensors. Now, they're still going to have one smaller sensor above the screen for Face ID, but they're going to introduce a under display sensor in 2000. iPhone 18. I think they're going to go with under display sensors, but on the 17, they found a way to even where the current cameras are up front, the current selfie cameras, they found a way to reduce these even more. So it'll have a smaller smaller dynamic island. They're calling it their meta lens. Redesigned device internally. So internally, this iPhone 17 Slim is codenamed D23. Comprehensively comparable to the iPhone X, how it was kept under wraps for so many years while in development. Now, this is going to have a slightly smaller display. The first details on this device's display, I did get this from the Haitong International Securities Analysis, Jeff Poo, who said essentially he's in with some of the Apple insiders who said that this display said it was going to be 6.6 inches. However, display supply chain consultants analysis Ross Young said the display would be 5.55 inches. So this is a supply chain expert who works inside the industry, who famously has leaked some information before these devices have come out, simply because he gets information from the supply chain. So companies that where Apple reaches out to source, they'll reach out to a number of display makers and ask them, hey, here's the design, can you make a display for this? Some people have loose lips and the info will get out, and essentially that's how it has come out. Now, we're comparing the iPhone 15 Plus. Remember, it's going to replace this Plus model. It has a 6.7 inch display. So the display is going to be slightly smaller, right? But no big deal. 0.5 inches or 0.1 inches, not a big deal. That's just how they're designing it. So, relocated cameras. So, information has come out saying that this iPhone 17 Slim will have a camera in a place. So these cameras are going to be on the back of an iPhone that has never been seen before on any iPhone. So traditionally, where has iPhone had their cameras? Well, across the top left, or not across, but positioned on the top left traditionally, right? This might have a Pixel 8 like camera setup. Now, not across the mid part, of the top half of the phone, but on the top part of the phone, similar to the Nexus 6P. So if we go back and look at this photo, see where those camera lenses are up top. Now tell me if it reminds you of this Nexus 6P. Look at those cameras. Up top, right here. See that? I mean, not totally, but damn, I missed that phone. I had that phone. Very, very, very nice phone. Anyways, similar to that. Not exactly, but similar, right? Let's see. So that'll be interesting. That'll be a whole new design. Now, anti-reflective coating. All iPhone 7. Now, this will be on all iPhone 17 models. We'll have an anti-reflective display, similar to what Samsung puts in their S24 Ultra display and Samsung's brand new OLED TVs. Anti-reflective. My dad got one a couple weeks ago, and it is freaking amazing. The Samsung OLED TVs with the reflective display, same tech that they have in here. You cannot see a reflection in it. It is incredible. And my dad placed that in a room where there's windows all over the place, where there's a ton of natural light coming into the room. You can't see a reflection. It is incredible. Just the bright AMOLED display. So you're going to get something similar like this in the iPhone 17, right? It's also going to be very, very scratch resistant along with this anti-reflective layer. You're also going to see OLED displays. Yes. OLED displays. Now it's going to have a low power back pain technology, bringing this ProMotion to Apple's non-Pro iPhone models. So all iPhone 17s are going to have ProMotion technology sporting AMOLED displays. All the way up to, and with a variable refresh rate, all the way from as high as 120 hertz down to 1 hertz. So be like typical Android, flagship Android phone with the LTPO style display. Now, the improved selfie camera, as we mentioned earlier, they are going to get smaller. Codenamed Meta Lens inside of Apple. The iPhone 17 lineup is going to feature a 24 megapixel front selfie camera with a 6-element lens. So this iPhone 14 and 15, current 15 and last year's 14 feature a 12 megapixel front camera sensor, right? With 5 plastic lens elements that combined to make this 12 megapixel front selfie camera that's in the current iPhones. And this year's iPhone 16 is expected to have the same hardware that's in the 14 and 15 when it comes to selfie camera. iPhone 17 is when it all changes. iPhone 17 increased resolution to help maintain photo quality even when cropped in or zoomed. And the increased pixel count helps capture more detail. They upgraded to a 6-element lens to provide a slight improvement in image quality. So you're going to see all upgraded front selfie camera sensors on the iPhone 17 models. If you haven't guessed, the iPhone 17 is going to be badass. Now, are people still going to buy the iPhone 16? I'm sure they will. But the one to get is going to be the 17. Just like the Pixel 10. This year, Pixel 9, it's cool. Brand new design. But next year, Pixel 10 is the one to get because that's when they are producing and sporting their brand new 100% design built by Google. This iPhone 17 is going to be the one to get. Not saying this new iPhone 16 is not going to be a good phone to get brand new, but if you will, want to hold out for the very best and a game changer, next year's phones are going to be game changers. Internal upgrades. iPhone 17 Slim will come with a base 8 gigs of RAM compared to the 6 gigs on the current iPhone 15 Plus. The Plus model, again, is the model that they're going to bump out and put the Slim model in with. It's worth noting, though, that all upcoming iPhone 16 models are expected to come with 8 gigs of RAM because of AI. When running AI models, you have to have a lot of RAM. And instead of staggering, Apple, you know how their Pros and Pro Max would have a different in flagship CPU and more RAM compared to the 15 and 15 Plus. They've done that for the last 2 years. The Plus and the Pro Max models would have the flagship CPU, while the base model and the Plus model would have last year's flagship CPU. And the Pro and the Pro Max would have 8 gigs of RAM in this year's iPhones and last year's iPhones, while the base iPhone and Plus model would only have 6 gigs of RAM. So why are they doing that? AI. This year they're not only putting 8 gigs of RAM in every iPhone model this year, they're also putting a flagship CPU in every iPhone this year, simply to handle AI. AI needs a lot of power, a lot of processing power, and a lot of RAM to operate. And if Apple wants to kind of move everybody into this Apple AI world, they're going to have to up the RAM and they're going to have to upgrade the CPUs on these base models. And that's exactly what they're going to do starting this year. And I believe moving forward, they cannot afford to skimp on the processor and or RAM moving forward. Now, as I mentioned, going to have a higher price. It's going to have a very, very, very big price tag. We don't know for sure. I'm sure Apple has an idea of the price point they're going to introduce this to the market to. I'm thinking probably $1,800 for the Slim, iPhone 17 Slim, but I don't know for sure. But as soon as I get more information, look, this is still a little over a year away of releasing, so roughly 15 months away from release, and we already know this much already. So moving into next year and getting closer to next September, we're going to know a lot. There's going to be a lot of leaks on this device. It's one of the most anticipated iPhones that I can remember. And that being said, just wait for the flip. So when this gets released in next year, all eyes are going to be on the flip, iPhone 18 flip or iPhone flip, whatever you want to call it. They've patented a hinge design that essentially eliminates a crease when the device is fully open. So I've got word that it's all systems go, green lights on the iPhone flip. And I told y'all it was all systems go, green light on this iPhone 17 Slim, probably about 4 months ago. So now as all this starts to shape up, more and more info comes out. And make sure you stay tuned and subscribe to eSIM Studios, because I guarantee you, I'm going to have all the latest coverage on these new iPhones. I can promise you that.